What's going on, everybody? Today we are going to start talking about that essay at the end of class. Hopefully, you'll have a little bit of time to just kind of organize what your essay is going to be about. Don't have to write anything today. It would be great if you maybe took some notes, maybe on a Google Doc, of just the 3 paragraphs you want for your essay. Now, I know it's always called a 5 paragraph essay. 2 of those paragraphs never change. It's the first and the last paragraph of that essay. The first is called the introduction. Introductions can be a little tricky to write. We'll get to that. The conclusion, that's the last sentence. The last paragraph. Those aren't that difficult. It's the 3 paragraphs in the middle that we call the body that are the most important. And if you have a really well organized outline before you start writing, it can make a world of difference. It can make your job pretty easy. So, what I want to do today is just talk about how to get started. I think one of the hardest things in writing is that blank page. You have that whole area of white just staring back at you. Starting the essay can be very difficult, but if it's well organized, it might not be that bad. So this can be found in Google Classroom. It's just an outline of how you can set up your essay, a couple directions that I'm looking for. But the first sentence is talking about what the essay is going to be about. So please write a 5 paragraph essay assessing yourself when it comes to the 9 different intelligences we talked about in class. We talked about a 10th, which is teaching. Feel free to use that as well. Please turn this in on a Google Doc. Now, if anybody needs help, excuse me, early in the morning, it's hard to talk. If anybody needs help finding their Google Docs, let me know. There's something when you go to google.com, there's something in the top right-hand corner. It's like 9 little tiny squares. It's called a waffle. I learned that a couple of years ago. Not sure if you know that, but go to that waffle thing. And because you're a student in Auburn schools, you're already set up with Google Docs. You may have had to use them in other classes, but I think this is the first time you've had to use it in this class. We've always done Google Forms. So it'll be a Google Doc that you'll turn this in on, please. It's just going to be easier for me to write comments on the side. Make this bigger. Yeah, so the next one, please turn it in on a Google Doc. The essay is due. This is taking us a little longer to get done. So it's actually going to be Feb 4th. Okay, February 4th. It's a Friday, which is not this Friday, but it's next Friday. All right, please use the font Times New Roman, 12-point font. I think we've talked about this in class a little bit, but this is what your teachers in high school are going to want. Always Times New Roman, 12-point font. If you need any help setting that up, let me know. Now, this next one's important right here. This is important. You can organize the body of your essay in any way that you would like. You really can, as long as you have to have 3 separate things because you're going to have 3 separate paragraphs. So you want 3 different ideas. But this is the way I thought you could set it up. It's not the only way. This is just like, I think I'm going to set mine up this way. I'm going to write one so you can see what one looks like. Obviously, please don't copy mine. You're probably better at different things than I am, but it'll be a guide for you to use. Like, oh, okay, so thesis. I'm going to point out, hey, this is my thesis. This is my intro. Here's my body. Here's my conclusion. I don't like conclusions. They're just so like, ugh. If I struggle with any part of essay writing, it's probably the conclusion, just because you're basically saying what you've already said. But we'll get to the conclusion on conclusion day. I'm basically separating the essay into like 4 or 5 different parts. So hopefully it won't be too bad for you because it's a big grade, but hopefully this will be pretty easy. All right, for this class, a paragraph should be at least 5 sentences. Come on, at least 5 sentences. This is 8th grade, so your paragraphs can be much larger, but at the very least, 5 sentences. I would say like 5 to 9, 5 to 9 sentences each. And this is the way it's going to look if you so choose. We got the intro, we got the conclusion, okay, right here. Now, in the middle, this is where you could have a little bit of variation. But I thought your second paragraph of the essay, first one of the body, take 1 to 3 intelligences you're good at and explain that. So if I pick, like, for me, linguistic, I would probably only choose 1 because I know I can give plenty of examples of how I'm good at the linguistic part of the intelligences. So we'll get to this later, but I think I would focus on 1, and I'm going to focus on the linguistic. So I'll introduce my paragraph as saying one of the 9 intelligences that I'm best at, I believe, is the linguistics, verbal. And then I will spend the next 4 or 5 sentences explaining why, like trying to prove why I'm good at that. Okay. But if you are having trouble coming up with so many examples, to get your 5 sentences, you can add a couple more of the intelligences, but you definitely want to explain why. That's a huge, and any essay just about that question, why, is very important. If you introduce something, you need to make sure that you're telling why. Back it up with evidence. Luckily for this essay, the only evidence you need is something we call anecdotal. Anecdotal. Maybe, hopefully, everybody hasn't fallen asleep by now. I can ask that question. What is anecdotal evidence? Pause. Anecdotal evidence is just what you feel yourself. It's actually the easiest evidence to gather. Doesn't hold up very well in court, like an eyewitness account. That would be anecdotal evidence. But anecdotal evidence is kind of what you know. Little weak. But this is kind of like a personal essay too, because we didn't write one in the first quarter. We're combining these 2 essays. So the next one, and I am right here. Let me, just so you know, right there. Explain 1 to 3 intelligences you are not good at. You are not good at. And all of these are going to be kind of structured the same. They'll start out with another little mini thesis statement, like explaining what you're going to tell somebody, and then you're going to tell it. So for me, we'll get to that when I write it. The ones that I'm not good at, there are so many to choose from. The next one is explain how you would like to change. So maybe pick one that you didn't talk about before, or pick a couple, like, oh, I really want to, when I get to high school, I would love to work on, one of the intelligences you're not good at, something like that. And of course, that question, why? Answer why. So for the rest of class, or tonight for homework, you can, just so you are on pace here to finish by next Friday, you got 2 weeks, should be plenty of time, but just so you're on pace, try to figure out, okay, where's my essay going to go? What am I going to pick? Take a look at that list of 9 intelligences. It's right on Google Classroom. And then you can pick which one I'm good at, or 3. I'm going to stick with 1, like I said, but which one you're good at, which one you're not good at, and something you would like to change. Now, you could go like, hey, I'm pretty good at all 3. Take those 3 paragraphs of the body and then write about each one that you're good at, or write 2 that you're good at and 1 that you're not good at. Like, there are endless amount of possibilities. And of course, if you are confused about anything, how you want to structure it, let me know. It will be very important because tomorrow we're going to be working on crafting. It's a good verb for writing. Crafting that thesis statement and working on the introduction. All right. Hope this was helpful. If you're at home, hope you're doing well.